Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is this Vishali Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Who is this?
This is Premrasa Mataji. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, Mataji. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, it's nice to hear you. I couldn't hear so well in the beginning. Your voice is coming really low. That's why I wasn't sure who was saying.
Okay.
How is Prabhu?
He's good. He is about to leave office today. Half an hour early.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Ruchi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. How are you?
Huh? Ruchi Mataji, your voice is very faint. It's hard to hear what you're saying.
Who all are there, Mataji? You and where?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Vishali. Oh, okay.
This is Premarasa Devidasi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisance.
Well, please accept my humble obeisance to you.
All you, Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, thank you.
What are you saying, Mataji?
I said all glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. All glories to all Vaishnavas assembled in the class.
So,
who is supposed to read today?
I am supposed to read, Mataji. I was just 5 minutes ago. I was going to. Yeah, 5 minutes ago I was going to the temple and I realized, oh, it's going to be time for Bhagavatam. And then I suddenly realized 5 minutes ago that it's my turn. So I just looked at the world. So maybe we should start and then
Mataji? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Oh my Jana, Pijana, Jana, Janashadaya, Pakshur, Unmilitam,
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Thapitam Yena Putale
Vayam Rupa
Sadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Javivacha Patitanam
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu
Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva Uttamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tatho Jayam Udirayat, Nashtakayeshu Agatreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhakti. Okay, Ruchi Mataji, please start.
Okay. Text 36. So Vacha Katya Bhagavan Brahma Rupa Dhrit Nama Rupa Kriya Dhatte So Karma Karmaka Para. He, the personality of Godhead, manifests himself in a transcendental form, being the subject of his transcendental name, qualities, pastimes, entourage, and transcendental variegatedness. Although he is unaffected by all such activities, he appears to be so engaged. Purport. Whenever there is a need of material creation, the transcendental personality of Godhead accepts form in the material world for creation, maintenance, and destruction. One should be intelligent enough to know his activities in truth and not be biased to conclude that he descends to the material world by accepting a form created by material nature. So for any form accepted from the material nature has its affection for everything done in the material world. A conditioned soul who accepts a material form for undergoing a certain term of material activities is subjected to the laws of matter. But here in this verse, it is clearly stated that although the forms and activities of the Lord appear to be the same as those of a conditioned soul, they are supernatural and impossible for the conditioned soul. He, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always unaffected by such activities. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:14, the Lord says, "Na mam karmani limpanti, na me karma phale iti mam yo bhujanti, karma bhis na sabhatyati." The Lord is never affected by the activities which he apparently performs by his different incarnations and personalities, nor does he have any desire to achieve success by fruitive activities. The Lord is full by his different potencies of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, and thus he has no reason for physical exertion like the conditioned soul. Therefore, an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned soul is also not bound by the reaction of activity. The Lord, as Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, conducts the three modes of material nature. From Vishnu is born Brahma, and from Brahma is born Shiva. Sometimes Brahma is a separated part of Vishnu, and sometimes Brahma is Vishnu himself. Thus, Brahma creates the different species of life all over the universe, which means that the Lord creates the whole manifestation either by himself or through the agency of his authorized entities. So, I will try to summarize it. Whenever, like in Gita, Krishna says that he manifests himself, comes to this material world, whenever there is decline in religion, whenever he needs to establish righteousness, he says he takes birth again and again, and also other activities like he has to give pleasure to his devotees and also liberate souls and other like transcendental pastimes and activities which we cannot understand. But for all these reasons, he manifests himself in a transcendental form, and then he is subject to his transcendental name, quality, pastimes, entourage, and transcendental variegativeness. So, like in this regard, we can take the example of how different Krishna and Rama avatar was, and so we can understand how it is transcendental variegatedness. That even though Ram was Maryada Purushottam, because you are both like Indian, so you can understand like he's what Maryada Purushottam is. So he respected all the boundaries, was very much in the maintained all the boundaries set up by the society, that and he even set up many many like strict principles. Like he set up the principles. Before him, there was always the system that the king had many wives, but he set up a system that that he is going to have only one wife, and after that, it was followed a lot. It was mostly followed that the king started having like one wife, but before that, all the kings who used to have many wives, and so he established. So so what I mean to say is he was following um his um his role which he was sent for, like for establishing trust again in the Kshatriya religion, because it was people had lost faith in the Kshatriyas because of Parishuram, who had killed a lot of Kshatriyas and said that they were all corrupt. But apart from that, so he followed his role, his name, his quality was that he was like um, totally given to like uh, societal principles, and he followed them very, very strictly, like just because he gave his word to his father that he is not, he is going to, like, because his father had given his word. So just to uphold his father's word, he left his kingdom, went to the forest. And even when Bharat came to ask him to come back, he didn't come back because he said that he has given his word and that is more important to him than his life. And so these principles are very, very strict for any common man to follow, which principles that he set up at that time when he was born, that how society should be, how an ideal man, how an ideal husband, how an ideal son, and all such roles. Now, how an ideal friend. All these were set up by him. So all these roles, which were like his quality, pastimes, entourage, and all these activities, he set up all these principles. And so similarly, when Krishna came, they were very different because but then he set up all these laws that one should do their karma and fight for what is right, and he set up role principles of an ideal husband too, and in his own way, and his own transcendental role of his own quality pastime and his own variegatedness. He established like how he was an ideal son to Mother Yashoda, and how he would like he did not he rebelled against wrong societal practices of like worship of Indra and all that, and he um, showed the people what like that whatever nature gives, at least they should worship that first and then a higher authority. So he like established all these principles according to the need of the society at that time. So 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 like whenever there is a need of material creation, the transcendental personality of Godhead, he accepts form in the material world of creation. That but one should be intelligent enough to know his activities and truth and not be biased to conclude that he descends to the material world by accepting his form. But so his form is not because material nature compels him to do that, because he is not born out of the laws of karma, because he is beyond that. But he does not take birth to like fulfill his karmas like we are, like we conditioned souls are, conditioned souls take birth to fulfill the karma that they have done, right or wrong, and they are so bound by the laws of karma, and due to a lot of attainment of good virtues and good karmas, we are born as human beings, and then we come here to like fulfill those karmic obligations. But he is beyond all these material nature karmas and laws, and he descends um, he does have a form, material form, but he accepts a, I mean, he does not have a material form, but he descends to the material world by accepting a form created by material nature, which is not born out of karmic or material influences. Um, so we like conditioned souls who are born out of the material world. We have a natural affinity for everything material, that it is very difficult for us to transcend this material world because we are all the time influenced by material modes all the time, whether it is materialism in the sense of like affected by the glitter of the material creation or by the mood. We are always affected by it, but he is not affected by it because he is beyond it. So, so we are also bound by the laws of karma and by the laws of matter. And so, when we take birth, a lot of it is also karmic obligations of our past that we have to fulfill with some people and somebody. And so, the modes are very powerful for us, and they make us act in certain ways, or at least impel us to act in certain ways to fulfill those karmic obligations. And so we are very different. We cannot compare ourselves to the transcendental activities of the Lord or his pastimes, because he just who knows how many people he liberates by his transcendental activities, and he has like he is trying to not trying to, but he is like interacting with his with the liberated souls because he knows their past, present, and future, and he's trying to like be with them. But we are totally different because we are in the material realm and we are very strongly affected by it. So even though it may apparently appear that that it is the same transcendental, the same activities, even though they are transcendental, because then Rama was like one of the examples is when Ram ji was crying in the forest for Mother Sita, then everybody was flabbergasted that how come he, like people say that he is God incarnate, and then how can he be affected by like his wife being taken away from him, and why is he crying like a small child? Why is he so affected that he doesn't have a desire to live because because he is like a madman looking or asking the trees and the plants where is Sita, and why is he so affected by it, because he knows that this is all not real, and he would be like also like many of these questions would also like come to me, that why, how can anybody be affected by like his wife being separated? If he is God, then he knows that he can like be united with her. This is just to in the transcendental world again, and this is just a play or a drama. But then but the because he had assumed the material form, and he has to he is teaching how to be that even though if he is being affected in the material form by material modes, still he is beyond it, because when Parvati came and she took the form of Mother Sita, and then she asked. She came in front of him. He immediately recognized her because he was in reality God, even though he was being affected by the most material nature, because just for the welfare of the world, he had bound himself by the laws of material nature. But he was being affected by it, but still he could see that Mother Parvati had come in the form of Sita, that this was not Sita. And so he said to her mother, where is Shiva? And so she realized her folly, and so it's like his activities are totally beyond us, and like for the mercy of, for his mercy so great that for For us, he comes to the material world and he experiences joy, grief, and sorrow like a mortal human being who is affected by all these material moods. So great is his mercy. Like, why would anybody, like, if somebody tells us that, okay, for uh, for some purpose also, or for helping out somebody, you go to the prison house and stay in the prison for a little bit, and you have to be a prisoner. We would find it very difficult, or stay in a hospital and be a patient and go through the same treatments, take the same medicines that these people take. It's very difficult. We cannot even think of doing it for a day, but he comes, leaves this transcendental world and comes just, and he is affected by all these um, modes of nature. He accepts to be in a mortal form just because of his great mercy. So he is not affected by all the activities which he apparently performs by his different incarnations and personalities, nor does he have any desire to achieve success or spiritual activities. So, nor is he looking to earn pious credits like that, okay, we should, if we do this particular thing, or devote ourselves to God, then we can be liberated. He's not looking for salvation. He's not looking for spiritual activities. The Lord is full by his different potencies of wealth, strength, immunity, knowledge, and realization. And then he has no reason for physical exertion like the conditioned soul. So he does not. He says in the Gita that there is no work which um I am obligated to perform, but still I do work because my example will be taken up by other people and they will act accordingly. And so if I give up work, then they will also not believe in in karma. So also I have to apparently, he could by his one blink of the eye um, destroyed all the Kauravas and and did what he had to do, but because he was apparently he bound himself by material laws. He um he acted out the whole Mahabharat war, and he even said that he was not going to take up arms, but still he fought for what is right, and uh, in the mental sense, he showed an example to people to how to fight for what is right, and therefore he set an example for people, for us, for the conditioned soul, that how even after one faces all these problems and is influenced by all these material modes, one can still um, do their karma without being affected by the results. So, an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned soul is also not bound by the reaction of activities. Now, this is a very, very strong statement, and it says that a person basically who can distinguish, because we cannot, but great souls can distinguish why God behaved, or Krishna, Rama, or Krishna or Ram, or all his incarnations acted in certain ways in certain situations uh, to liberate, like which soul and how many souls he must have liberated by his one single action, and what example he is trying to set up. He's setting up, not trying to set up, but he's setting up is beyond us. But persons who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned soul is also not bound by the reactions of activities. Like many times people say that, well, his love for Radha and his love for the gopis, because they don't understand the transcendental love, because they were actually the very enlightened sages who had come in the form of gopis, who wanted to experience the deep love, and that was only possible. And Krishna wanted to satisfy their desire of the deep feeling of love in their hearts, and so they took up the form of the good thing, but people don't understand it, and so only when we realize that he is so merciful that he took a mortal form, and then he reciprocated the love of the heart by his rasa dance. So then we realize that how merciful he is, then only we can try to understand his transcendental activities. The Lord is Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva conduct three modes of material nature. From Vishnu is born Brahma, and from Brahma is born Shiva, which is not very agreeable to me, but it says over here. So it says that okay, from Vishnu is born Brahma, and from Brahma is born Shiva. So sometimes Brahma is a separated part of Vishnu, and sometimes Brahma is Vishnu himself. So why they are saying, I guess over here, why Brahma is Vishnu himself is because he totally understands, Brahma totally understands the wish of Vishnu Bhagwan, and then he creates and enacts the creation of the whole universe, um, which is in tandem with the wishes of Vishnu, and at that time he is not separated from him, or he can like he is separated from him, but once he knows the wishes, he acts accordingly or according to um, the wishes of Vishnu, and so we can say that they are different and also non-different at the same time. So that is why it is like sometimes he is separated because then he creates the material universes, uh, and then sometimes it appears as though he is an independent person creating by himself, but Brahma and Vishnu, since Brahma is born of Vishnu from his navel, so therefore he acts in accordance with what is good for the creation or according to the wishes of Vishnu. Um, so either the Lord creates the whole manifestation either by himself, he guides Brahma, or either Brahma does it, the create he delegates it to Brahma, and then Brahma creates the whole manifestation. So it is either by himself or through the agency of his authorized deputy. So so like we should be careful, and like how we should not try to disrespect the deputies. That's what I think, because they are direct representative of Vishnu's will. So Vishnu Bhagwan's will. So sometimes like we think, okay, like like we should only respect the president and not the judge, or not the policeman, or let's say not the minister who is sitting in the office. But that is not correct, because they are direct representatives of the president, like in the case over here, like the direct representatives of Vishnu. They are doing the work assigned to them by Vishnu, and so therefore we should treat them like God himself, like we do to our spiritual master. So that is why in our Vedic culture it is said that we should take him as God himself, because whatever particular lesson God wants us to learn, or wants us to different lessons that he wants us to learn, he is delegating that, teaching us through the Guru Maharaj, so or through his delegated person. So we should respect all people who are basically um, everybody as treat everybody as like representatives of God himself. So that was my effort at summarizing the verse. If anybody has any questions and has to add anything, please go ahead.
Ruchi Mataji, thank you for the very nice class. Um, I just wanted to say one thing. Actually, the part that you were sharing about Brahma and Vishnu, actually, Brahma is a post, and different devotees actually take that post. So, Brahma is the post of Brahma is such an important and an elevated post that if Vishnu doesn't find proper candidate to take the post, then he himself takes that post.
Okay.
So
yeah, now it is much more clearer. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the like understanding. But yeah, else I think thank you, Mataji. Very nice class.
Yeah, thanks. I think I did not really understand it because I was treating Brahma as an eternal person, but you're right, Brahma is usually what we have read is Brahma as a food. So that is right. That's why I also just said that either he created that by himself or through the agency of his operations. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. But also wanted to share that today the class is very clear and your voice was nice. Sometimes I have trouble in understanding what, because there's always there's some problem with the connection, but even the reading and the speaking, everything was very clear and nice. So thank you so much, Mataji. Really helped.
I'm trying to raise my voice because I have a low voice and
that was very helpful. Thank
you for your appreciation. I wonder why nobody attended the class because I'm teaching it, I guess. Neela Manjari and Maria Mataji and the people at the time, I guess. You listen to that.
Mataji, Jacqueline Mataji and myself are here.
Okay, I didn't know that you are there because
Mataji, I'm also there.
Okay.
Hello, Ruchi, darling. Ruchi, hi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jacqueline Mataji, how are you?
Yes, you have abandoned us with the Harinam. But anyhow, I was just sitting here.
Yeah, today, I remembered it, but I just got lazy, I guess.
Yes, it's okay. I wasn't quite sure if you had made it back and how long you've been. I didn't trouble you. I let me know. So I was sitting listening.
If you were here, you could have just come and taken me. Then I would have just come back.
Okay, you're very spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah, devotees have to work very hard to pay them,
Thank you for joining us. You said welcome to the class.
Thank you. That was a very long and heartfelt, commentary. See, it's in you. You just have to utilize your inner being more often. So that's very good. Yes.
Yeah, I
see if for you.
Because I'm good for nothing, so all I do is like sometimes read in the class. So God is like, okay, let me try to make her a little bit worthwhile. Otherwise, nobody will engage her in any service or think she's any good. So he just gives the inspiration from them to speak nicely because that's the only service I do.
Well, if we engage in Krishna conscious activities, whatever our sufferings are, it continues to raise our consciousness, and some of our anxieties, they're put on the back shelf. And so therefore, if we engage in those activities of leadership more often, and especially if it's dormant and it's really in us to do so, it helps us. It helps to heal us. So that's very good for you to do that. And and especially if we prepare the class and have our little notes, and it's outlined, and it's well orchestrated. So yeah, that's very good. So yeah, I'm
sorry I didn't get the time to prepare. I just remembered 10 minutes ago that I had to read today and that I had about it in class. But God always has whenever I get
well,
I have to get the class.
The good point is that you remembered, because that means that it's on your consciousness and it's important, even if you're not, as prepared as you prefer. The effort is there. You could have just not joined, or you had an excuse not to do so. So you feel that it's a responsibility and you really enjoy doing it. So it's important to you by nature. So you did it. So without thinking about it. So that's very good. If you find some way of using your inner strengths to be happy and to do something positive, that's great.
Yes, thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Ruchi Mataji. And one point that you made was like Vishnu, from Vishnu comes Brahma, and from Brahma comes Lord Shiva. So, and you said, I don't really agree with it. That's true, because although Brahma is a post, Lord Shiva, his position is not a post. He's a person like Krishna. His post cannot be taken by anybody else. But when creation happens, the Rudras, Lord Shiva comes as Rudra, and he is born as like the Rudras are sons of Brahma. So in that sense, we can say Lord Shiva came from Brahma. Although in reality, Shiva's position is very unique from the other demigods. He's not like other demigods.
Right,
yeah,
he's not a post.
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, thank you for that. Yeah, because that is what I thought too, but it's said over here. So sometimes we can't understand the deeper intricacies because it's just written like that, and so the words have a deeper meaning. So thanks for clarifying that.
That's all I have to say, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thanks for giving this service. Yeah. So can anybody, maybe Leela Manjri Mataji, can you elaborate more on the fact that for an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned soul is not bound by the reactions of activities. So that means that soul who have realized, like how he says that people who realize his divine, the purpose of his divine birth, like Krishna says, people who realize the divine purpose, the purpose of his birth and transcendental activities, once they realize that, then that person is also not bound by the reaction of activities. But then if he has taken birth in the material world, and if he's bound by the material laws, then like is it like God makes an exception for them and they are no longer bound by those laws? Is that what it is trying to say?
This is in the last paragraph, right, of the purport that you read?
Yes.
So here, as much as I understand, maybe others can also try to share what they feel is Prabhupada often used to give this example that there are people who are put in the prison by the government, and they are the prisoners inside the prison house. But then there is the superintendent of the jail, and sometimes the king may take the liberty to go inside the jail and visit the prisoners. That's his way of extending himself to the prisoners. So similarly, but there is a huge distinction between the people who are prisoners and when the king enters the prison house, because the prisoners are bound by the laws in the prison house, in the prison, but the king is not bound by the same laws that are in the prison. Is that example clear, Ruchi Mataji?
Yes, yes.
So although the king, it seems as if the king is within the prison, he is not bound by the rules of the prison. So similarly, when Krishna or his incarnations come into the material world, we should not become, in any way, our brains should not get confused that he is bound by the same laws that govern conditioned souls. The three modes of material nature can have no effect on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, Prabhupada is saying, therefore, an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned souls is also not bound by the reactions of activities. That means,
but that is what I'm trying to say, that here he doesn't use the word divine associates of Krishna or like the transcendental enlightened soul. He says is an intelligent person, which means the conditioned soul, basically. So if a conditioned soul can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and what the normal people do, then he is not bound by reaction.
yes, Nantaji, you are correct. Yeah. That means he has understood about the transcendental position of the Lord. That's a very high platform, but I mean, if someone just understands that, like, then he is also not bound by the laws that govern this material world.
Okay, thanks so much.
At least that's my understanding. Other devotees can add too.
I will say a lot of times people are comparing, or sometimes we'll use excuses what Krishna did, or, Krishna, he is, as they say, not in the flesh. Even though, like, when they would say, well, Jesus, well, that was a carnation, or that is a holy being that their propensity is not to be sinful, and by nature their consciousness is just raised, and they're just not like the rest of the human beings, down here, that have their minds wandering, and they're in the flesh, and some of them are very weak. So we would always just think of Krishna as, something, but not someone when we're thinking of ourselves, but a different entity, a very special entity that is a pure and perfect example that we're struggling to be like. But yeah, I don't have too many words on that. It's just that a lot of people, they do forget that there's many incarnations, and when they say, well, Krishna is like us, or when we read the stories about Krishna and he was in the butter, Krishna was doing this and that, those are just lessons for us, to make us feel more comfortable. Because many times in regular life, we're alienated if we can't relate to something. So all of those stories about what Krishna did is just so we can relate to it and feel more comfortable, so we don't have any excuses to reject, the philosophy, I guess you would say. Well, we can go in circles and keep talking about it. I guess that's all I have to say.
Well, I had another question that when God, who has unlimited potencies, and he like binds himself to the material laws, so binds himself um, to the laws of material nature, and binds himself to the material world when he takes birth, when he cannot, like how he is crying when Mother Sita got separated, then how difficult it is for us to like deal with the moods of material nature. So like what should we do? Because we are also bound by a lot of karmas, and karmas have to take effect, and those karmas are trying to put us into certain situations so that particular karma can enact itself. And so we are bound by a lot of forces, material forces, and by a lot of material forces, and also a lot of modes also. So then what should we do apart from like seeking the shelter of God? Did nobody did understand my question?
Oh, Ruchi, what I was saying, this is Jacqueline Mataji. What is your concise, I guess, opinion of what the lesson is, and what, in comparison to what you feel they're trying to get across? So you have, let's say in one sentence, what's the outcome of the lesson, or what is the main point that we are trying to learn today?
Yeah, but I'll come to that. But I just asked a question, Mataji. So, did anybody get the Manjari Mataji, or anybody? Did you get the question? Could you repeat the question, please? Well, my question was that when like God Himself came and in the form of Rama or Krishna, and they bound themselves to the material laws or material world, and they were being affected by it, like how Ramji was crying, and how Krishna even picked up the arms even then when he had promised not to. So we are bound by a lot of karmic influences, and also by the mood. So how do we handle it, apart from like taking shelter of God?
How do we what? I didn't hear the last 5-6 words.
How do we handle it?
Are you asking about, you said karmic reactions, or what I say in today's world, the excuse for our own decisions? Because we can always say and continuously say that we're in the flesh, or, we have the ability to continuously be in error because we're not like Krishna. Because you're saying our karmic, well, we do our chanting and we do services and we eat a particular way to raise our consciousness. And if we're really focused on that, it definitely happens. So, I don't like to ever use the words or the idea about our karma and how our natural propensity is if we are not spiritual beings. Because some people actually are definitely on different platforms than others. And some have no intent to come back in this form or in this particular state of living. They really don't want to come back, and others, I guess, didn't reach to that plateau. So, I mean, that's how I feel about that question, because I hear it all the time. You hear it in different spiritual practices, you know, that people say don't judge, and they said, well, you know, it's okay because we're not perfect. We use excuses for a lot of situations. We know what's right and wrong. I mean, even the worst being has some kind of an inner feeling. Of course, we call it that paramatma that is talking to you, and we make the decision to do it, you know. You know, my favorite book is Shri Isopanishad. It talks about these little circumstances, you know. I mean, it's written about this. So we know, and as we're studying, and some of us has been around Krishna consciousness a long time, and somehow we fall into the trap of saying, oh, well, because of my karma, or because, well, you know, he'll forgive us, or, well, because I'm, you know, just this so conditioned person down here that's just in Maya. Well, you know, I just feel whenever we use that word karmic, as we're chanting, I know when I'm chanting, it could be if you took a penny out of your mom's purse when you were 2, it comes up. It's like regurgitated. It's like regurgitated, you know. But then when they say, okay, once you circumstance Tulsi, you're forgiven, then you go back and go do something naughty, you know. Krishna sees everything. He sees all of these behavior patterns and mindsets, and whether we chant and smile and we go back and we keep doing it. So it's about our decision. And of course, all of these wonderful examples are in the book and we read them, but it's like in any other subject matter, you absorb, you retain the information, and you apply it, you know. And the karmic, it becomes an excuse, or, you know, it just starts becoming an excuse. We have the knowledge. Those of us that have been blessed to be risen to this point and brought to Krishna consciousness, we can now apply. And we, you know, it's not like the person that says, they call it the neophyte, or the person that's in some faith that's, you know, not enlightened. So now that we're enlightened, it should be very easy for us to follow through. And then we can change the karma if we have not the best karma. And then those in our family and so on and so forth, our dog or whomever. I have 2 quote unquote pit bulls. I mean, they're very hybrid pit bulls, but they used to listen to yoga music all day, and they love vegetables. Oh my gosh, they go nuts. And people say, are you crazy? You're giving your dogs vegetables. And they listen to yoga music, and they dance with me, and they're really sweet. And people would just laugh because their breed is supposed to be vicious, and they're supposed to do this and that. And that's true right there. Now, if they're listening to maybe violent music of bad vibrations, I mean, they literally listen to yoga and mantra music whenever I'm gone. And they've been doing that. They're 4 years old now, but they've been doing that in my house or in my environment since they were 7 weeks old. So now that can show you right there how a consciousness or a natural propensity can be changed of the so-called dog that is supposed to be so vicious and so uncontrolled and so on and so forth. So with us, as we're chanting and as we're surrounding ourselves with devotees, regardless of the level of devotees, and we're hearing the mantras, we're there and we're absorbing it, and we're not worried about if Jane came in at this time or what Susie is wearing or whatever. We're focused. And when we're reading these scriptures, we're absorbing them and we're being taught, but we're not using the scriptures as excuses for any shortcomings, because we have the knowledge. And if we're intelligent, as this is an intelligent process, and then we're, you know, we're following through. You know, we read the scriptures and we apply, you know.
Was it helpful, Ruchi Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Ruchi Mataji, maybe you want to ask for any last comments. So it's 6 o'clock, so we can end.
Yeah,
but if
anybody wants to like add any comment or anything?
I can just add something to the Mataji that just was speaking. So a couple days ago, we had one of the verses, and it was talking about how the intelligence is so very important, and it's through association that the intelligence is sharpened or gives the ability to deliberate on the mind and to make changes in one's life. So through association, through Shastra, through liberated souls, our intelligence hopefully is improving and gives us the ability to make changes in our life, so that as karma comes to us, like you were saying, we don't use it as an excuse or actually use the Shastra as an excuse and give us, oh, well, man has all these defects and therefore this is the way man is. Well, rather than that, one should use Shastra and the teachings of the Charyas to sharpen one's intelligence. So, like Mataji had said, so that changes can be made, so that as karma comes at us, we make those necessary changes and get closer to the goal of our life, which is love of Krishna. Yeah. That's what I just wanted to add a little bit. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Mataji, for your helpful yes, I agree. We need to follow the Shastras and the Acharyas to determine what is the right thing to do. Anybody else wants to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Mataji, I'm sorry, I stepped away for just a second. You said something?
No, I was thinking that after reading it is like really enlightening, and one realizes that how much God can actually do. Like His love is so great that He will leave His transcendental abode and everything, and He will come to the aid of one soul also if he truly asks for help, and He will bind Himself with the laws of material nature, take birth in this Mrityu lok. That means the the temporary miserable low, temporary miserable low, just to just to just by because one soul or some souls ask him for help, and he will come and experience.
Mataji,
Yes, go ahead.
he does not get bound by the laws of material world.
No, he does not, but he experiences the same pain and sorrow like a mortal human being, because when he binds himself in the material body, he out of love for his devotees, he does bind himself like when Rama was experiencing the pain of separation from his wife. It was not like he was not experiencing it. His mind and his heart was experiencing that, because he had taken a mortal body, and he had bound himself with the laws of material.
No, Mataji, he was only enacting. He was only doing a leela. He was not.
Yes, but his mortal mind and his mortal body was feeling that pain. That is why. Okay, maybe you're right. Well, I was just commenting on like how merciful God can be, that he actually comes down and tries to feel our pain. That's all I was trying to say.
Yes, Mataji. Ruchi Mataji, I get your point, and Archana Mataji also, like, I get both of your point. Ruchi Mataji, you are correct. I mean, how kind can Krishna be that he is willing to come to this place to, take us back to him? That's the compassionate part. But whenever Krishna comes, as or his incarnations or his avatars come to this mortal world, they do not take on a material body. Although his body looks like our body, in flesh, like with flesh and bones, it may seem like that. He is completely transcendental.
But that must be a subtle body, because his mortal body remains here, right? I mean, Ram's body was not like spiritually transferred to the flesh and bones were not like transferred to the spiritual world.
Mataji, actually, a very deep analysis of this is given in the scriptures. Actually, we started the discussion at 6:05, way after the time of our discussion. So I'm not like going back to all the points, but in essence, Archana Mataji, what she's saying is has like I have heard how Archana Mataji has said that Krishna also leaves his body. Like after the arrow was shot, his body was also left behind. It's not that he just disappeared as soon as the arrow was shot in the. So it seems as if everything that he is doing, everything that is happening to him, is very similar to a human experience. But based on scriptures and based on what the acharyas have said, although it seems like that, his body is always completely transcendental. It is not a body of flesh and bones like us. He is completely coming in his Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Our bodies are not Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Our soul is, but our bodies are not. So how are we to understand that? First thing is, these are transcendental subject matters, so we have to hear them first before we can understand them. So this is given by our acharyas. So we just accept on the basis of the acharyas, and one day Krishna will himself reveal it to us, that this is like that. So that's the best I can do at this point, but it seems as if he is lamenting like an ordinary man, but all his emotions are transcendental emotions.
Okay. Thank you for the.
Mataji, I will find you more references. But because of the time, is it okay if we end here? And I will send you a lecture or something, Mataji, because this we went to the place where Lord Shri Krishna left the planet. It's a place in Gujarat. There's, I wish I can remember the name of the place, but starts with P. Prabhashetra. Yes, Mataji. Yeah. So Krishna left his body at that place, and Maharaj gives a huge explanation of he left his body behind, as if a human being leaves his body behind, but because of all these pastimes that Krishna performs and his incarnations perform, we should not become bewildered that he did not have a transcendental body. Although it seems to our mortal eyes as if he left his body behind and his body is there and all these things are being performed, but still we can be 100% confident that the body in which Krishna and his incarnations come are completely spiritual, Satchitananda Vigraha. So that is the difference between Krishna's descending into this world and disappearing from this world, and us coming into this world and disappearing from this world.
Mataji, can you please send it to me too? I would like to hear that.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, it may take me some time. If I forget, please remind me. But I have that lecture. If you go on Romapad Swami's website, this is Dwarka Yatra, and the name of the place is Prabhashetra.
Okay, I'll try to look it up, but I'm not sure. I
will also try to look it up and send it. But I'm stepping out now for yoga class, so that's why I cannot do it right away.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji.
Ruchi Mataji, is it okay?
Yes, sure. Okay. Thank you for the participation.
Thank you, Arjuna Mataji.
So
Ruchi Mataji? Yes, please. Ruchi Mataji.
Yes?
Yes.
So we should end here.
You should say Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah. So, Ruchi Mataji, do you want just a few minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Mataji, this conference is being recorded. You want to call her separately if you want to talk something.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hare Krishna. I'll call you really fast on Ruchi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.